as a first timer. Myself and my dad are still in the process of building this room, but I will tell you what I know so far. And we will touch on a few things such as framing, insulation, drywall, taping, mudding, and electrical. So enjoy. The framing part, we didn't do much to it, or for it. We hired somebody. You're asking, why hire somebody, right? Just to do framing when you could hire somebody to do the whole room, right? No, it costs more to do it that way, so we just asked him to frame the room. He did. His name was Jake. He used two different kinds of wood. This one and this one. This one's pressure treated wood, which holds in moisture if there's a leak in the basement. And this one is used for the rest of the room. So this one was flat on the ground, and these all went on top. Much larger pieces, of course. So that's all on the framing part. I didn't really watch him do it, but we certainly did hear him do it. So moving on to insulation. I couldn't show you an actual example of the insulation because you have to wear a full body suit like this one. I wore this one, which I use now for painting, and my dad just wore sweats and a long sleeve shirt, but we also both wore a pair of gloves, and they really help when you're cutting it. But when you're putting it up on the wood, you use staple gun and some staples. This is what the staples look like. They're not very big, but they got the job done. So you staple the insulation into this part of the wood, and it looks like a brown paper bag, and kind of sounds like it too. But you staple it into the sides of the insulation, or the insulation into the framework right here. So you want it inside of the wood, just a little bit, but you don't want it like on top or whatever. It needs to be in here. So that way when you're drywalling, you don't accidentally screw through a staple. That would be bad. Okay, to move on to the drywall part. There are many different types of drywall and sheetrock, which I think the drywall and sheetrock are the exact same thing. They look the same to me, but again, I'm not super experienced. But this is the drywall we used. It's sheetrock. It's ultralight panels, half an inch thick, and they're used for walls and ceilings. So it's white on the front and brown on the back. So the brown side goes up against the wood like this, and then the white side is later used for painting and mudding. And this is a theme, which I will talk about again when we get to the taping part. So the screws you use are these ones. They're drywall screws. Now the size and length depend on your wood type, like how wide or thick it is, and the amount you get. So this is a 5-pound box. We got one 5-pound box and two 1-pound boxes of screws. That's what they look like. And this is what is left of the last 1-pound box. We went through a lot of screws. So that's pretty much for the drywall. That's all the stuff you need. My dad did most of the cutting and measuring. All I did was write it down, and I helped him with the level and drawing the lines where to cut later. He did all the cutting because I didn't trust myself to do it without messing up the line. So we're going to move now to taping, mudding, and sanding. So the taping part, this is the tape we used, and this tape goes over the seam like this. The two seams that go together, it would go like this, and then you put mud over it later. But this is the tape we use. We use 2 rolls of this. This is all that's left of the second roll. But the mud I couldn't bring up here because my brother is downstairs mudding right now, and it is a tub about this big with a green lid, and it is all-purpose joint compound, and it doesn't smell funny or anything. It just looks like paste with a little bit of sand in there. But that part's really easy. All you do is take a putty knife of some kind and put it over the tape. Make sure that it's all even and everything. And then you sand it down later. And after it's dried for maybe a couple days, I would suggest a couple days, then you sand it so it all looks flat like one wall. And then when you later go to the painting and priming part, it'll all come out the same kind of one wall look that you want. You don't want to have like multiple sizes of walls. That would look really bad. So the electrical part, moving on again to the electrical part. When we first started the room, there were 2 light bulbs in the ceiling. So one right by the door and one farther back. But my parents didn't think that was enough light, and neither did I. So they went and bought these lights. My dad installed, or is going to install these into those same 2 spots. So that way the light will be pointing in different directions, and I'll have more light. Because the light bulbs we got are, the light bulbs are brighter than the ones that were in there, which were regular 60-watt light bulbs. So there will be more light in the room. But all the electrical stuff, like I said, my dad is good at, so he's doing. I'm not touching it because I don't want to burn the house down or anything. Okay, now finally to wrap things up, let's recap. We talked about framing. We just barely touched on it. We didn't do much there. Jake did everything. We also talked about the drywall. Not as hard as you think. We also talked about insulation, which not only super easy, all you need is a staple gun and full body suit to cover everything up. So no issue later. Then we talked about taping and mudding and sanding. All important towards the end result of the overall one wall look. By building your own room, you will not only spend less money than paying someone to do it, but it'll also be fun. That I can guarantee. Everyone should try this once in their life. Building a room not only gets done, but is fun. So, what will you do?